Good evening, Rams. Thank you for joining me tonight here on CTV 11 for our ASCSU election coverage. I am Kenneth Frederick, and I am joined here tonight by Speaker of the Senate candidate, Kyle Hill. Kyle, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and what your campaign is on?
Well, as he said it, my name is Kyle Hill. I am a sophomore studying biomedical sciences as my major. I'm a second year, and I've been a senator for 2 years now. Almost 2 years, and representing my college for the College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. And my campaign is based on unity, reunifying, the school essentially after this has been a tough year. I mean, face it. With coronavirus, an election that left us divided, angry, hostile, and sometimes violent at one another. And I believe that it's time to start healing, and I believe that it is time to begin that process of reunification and being able to come together once again as Rams, and that is my campaign when I'm running on.
Awesome. So what do you bring to the table that other candidates don't?
Well, I believe I bring in a unique perspective on, how, I can go about my day and making sure everybody can, reunification. I believe that, unlike other candidates, my opponent, I believe that I can, bring table a unifying structure and a structure that brings, unity regarding with executive and making sure that I can listen to the other side more. Some candidates can do that, but I believe that that is something that I really hold dear as my main platform. Focus on the students more. Focus on what you guys want, not what I want. What I want does not matter. I am only a public servant to you, and I believe that, as a public servant, it is your job. You're my boss. The students are my boss. It is my job to do with the will of the students, and if you don't like it, then you can, come to me about it, or, even unelect me. And it's up to you guys. You have the power and your control, and I'm only a servant to that.
Awesome. So speaking of students, what promises can you make about how student fees are going to be spent next year?
Student fees are in the department of, within the ASCSU branch. I believe that student fees are an issue, especially now during the recession. A lot of students don't have a lot of money. Now that we're going through troubled times, people are having to pay more student fees for services or less. I believe that I promise to hold student fee funded areas accountable. For example, the recreational center, the services they provide is not like pre-COVID times, and yet we have to pay a lot of student fees, as much, if not more, for during that. So I believe that by meeting with these people and saying, hey, listen, we need to look at the services you're providing and the student fees we're giving, and we need to look at lowering it if you're not going to provide us the full services. And I will advocate that, and I will protest that my heart out until they do that, and the wish of the students regarding such things. Or reallocation to student fees for more areas that are needed right now. For example, the mental health, the health center. Mental health is a real issue now during these COVID times, and I believe that with students' mental health should be #1 priority within our student fees. So reallocation is another thing as well that I can promise that I will do my best to try to do.
Absolutely. So one issue that has really come up in the last couple of years is the issue of transparency, especially when campaigning and then even once, candidates are in office. Is transparency a goal of your campaign? And if so, how would you say you could achieve it?
I absolutely believe transparency is a goal. I believe that being able to link, look, ASCSU's job is to make sure that the students' voices and the administration voices are linked. We're like the bridge between the two entities. There are 38,000 of us, and there's maybe like a couple hundred of administrators, not even that probably. If you count people like President McConnell or the admin, it's few, like maybe 10 or 20. So how is 10 and 20 administration are going to hear the voices or the concerns from the students of 38,000? Well, that is ASCSU's job, and it is my job as a leader to hold senators accountable to making sure the communication is linked in a strong and coherent manner. And I believe that's how I can, go through transparency in a way that is resourceful, is through going back and forth between administration and the students, and making sure that the connection between the two is valid, and we'll be able to, have being able to hold administration accountable essentially to what the students want.
Absolutely. And if you're elected, could you tell me about some of the big plans or goals that you have?
Absolutely. I believe that COVID relief is number one. With COVID relief, I believe that people, are still going to be scared. I mean, next year is probably going to be a big step in our return to normalcy after with the vaccines and everything, and students are going to be scared, and people, not everybody's going to feel comfortable going in the classroom again. And I believe that at that time there will be more and more classrooms that are open. Students will be apprehensive. So I believe that I want to be able to tell students, hey, we got this, we can go through with this. I believe that, and give all the support they need in making that transition back to a state of normalcy as time goes on, as the pandemic diminishes with the vaccine. So COVID relief, such as more masks wearing, holding students more accountable, put more money into hand sanitizers and more disinfectants, and the vaccine, which I believe will be out by next year when I start my time in office, if I have the privilege in being elected. Being able to facilitate that is something that I would be willing to do. It's my first. Second is racial injustice. I believe that is a pandemic in itself, the racism that's spewing our country and even our own local community. I believe racism is a huge problem, and I want to be a voice to help students who identify with marginalized identities, to make sure that their voices are heard, that they will be able to enjoy the same rights that more privileged groups of people or students have, and we want to make sure that equity is established. So basically that's my top two platforms.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Do you have any final words that you'd like to leave viewers at home?
I just want to say that, as I said before, that I want to make sure your voices are heard. We are in a dire time right now, and we are in a crisis with the pandemic, and we need strong leadership these days, and we need people to look up to, and we need people to guide us through these times. And I believe that if you elect me as Speaker of the Senate, and I have the privilege to serve you, I'll be able to lead us in a direction, and I will work with the student body president or the student vice president, whoever that may be, to make sure that students come first. And I promise you that if I have the privilege of being elected. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hill. For all of your ASCSU election coverage and much more, you can tune in here to CTV 11.